The world's deadliest weapons are a guarantor of stability and a deterrent from the outbreak of World War III. This video presents the potential and main strategic offensive weapons of different countries, as well as cases in which the use of nuclear weapons in the modern world is possible. North Korea has up to 100 nuclear warheads. Their exact number is kept secret. As strategic carriers, the DPRK is armed with intercontinental ballistic missiles Hwasong-15, Hwasong-17 and Hwasong-18 with a launch range of up to 12,000 kilometers, as well as submarines with Pukgoksong missiles. In accordance with the nuclear doctrine, North Korea will use nuclear weapons in the following cases: attacks by weapons of mass destruction on the DPRK, any attack against the leadership of the state and the command of the nuclear forces, a deadly attack on important strategic object, and also when the existence of the country and the safety of the people's lives are threatened. The use of tactical nuclear weapons is also regulated. Its use is possible to prevent the expansion of conventional warfare and take the initiative into their own hands. The DPRK has KN-25 nuclear MLRS with a range of up to 400 kilometers, ballistic and cruise missiles of the Hwasong-11 type of modifications A, B, C, and D with a range of up to 800 kilometers, launched including from a train. At the same time, it is noted that nuclear weapons are a means of deterrence and their use is an extreme measure. The decision on the use of nuclear weapons is made solely by the chairman of the State Council of the DPRK. If Israel's nuclear doctrine exists, it is intended only for internal use. Officially, Israel neither confirms nor denies the existence of nuclear weapons. It's very convenient, by the way. According to the Stockholm Institute for Peace Studies, Israel has about 100 nuclear warheads, and their carriers are Jericho ballistic missiles with a range of up to 11,500 kilometers, Delilah and Popeye turbo cruise missiles with ranges of up to 300 and 1,500 kilometers respectively, launched by tactical aircraft and submarines. The Indian nuclear doctrine assumes obligations not to use nuclear weapons first, and to use them only in response to a nuclear attack by the aggressor. India has about 160 nuclear warheads in its arsenal, but taking into account the creation of new carriers, this number will increase. Strategic carriers are Agni-5 intercontinental missiles of limited range. It is about 5,000 kilometers, as well as medium-range missiles Agni-2, 3, 4 and Agni-P with ranges of 2, 3 and 4,000 kilometers. An Agni-6 missile with a range of up to 10,000 kilometers is being developed. There are missiles for submarines with a launch range of 700 kilometers. Work is underway to create a naval missile with a range of 5,000 kilometers. The Nearby cruise missile is being designed in versions for submarines and airplanes, but it is in the early stages of development. Unlike India, Pakistan is not limited to retaliatory strikes. Massive retaliation is possible here in the following cases: the penetration of the Indian army into its territory if the Pakistani army is unable to stop this intervention, the destruction of a significant part of the armed forces of Pakistan, and especially the Air Force, the use of weapons of mass destruction against Pakistan, significant damage to the economy, as well as political destabilization caused by the actions of the aggressor. Pakistan has about 180 nuclear warheads. The main carriers are ballistic missiles of various types. These are medium-range missiles of the Ghauri type with a range of up to 1,300 kilometers, the Shaheen-2 and the Shaheen-3 under development with ranges of 2,000 kilometers and 2,500 kilometers respectively. In addition, Pakistan has a fairly large range of short-range ballistic missiles such as Abdali, Ghaznavi, and Shaheen-1 with launch ranges from 200 to 900 kilometers, as well as Nasser with a range of 70 kilometers. There are ground-launched cruise missiles of the Babur range with a firing range of up to 700 kilometers. Work is underway to create a marine version of this missile. The Augusta submarines are being considered as missile carriers. As part of the air component, cruise missiles of the Rod type and the latest Rod 2 with ranges of 350 and 700 kilometers are used. The carriers of cruise missiles are Mirage 5 and JF-17 fighters of joint Chinese-Pakistani production. The UK's nuclear doctrine focuses on ensuring the security of the United Kingdom and its NATO allies. At the same time, the UK does not exclude the use of nuclear weapons first. However, it is noted that its use can only be in emergency circumstances and when self-defense is necessary. It is stated that the kingdom does not intend to use nuclear weapons against countries that do not possess them, as well as against parties to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Special attention is paid to NATO commitments and assistance to its allies and partners. The UK's nuclear arsenal has 225 charges, and it is planned to increase it to 260 units in the future. American Trident II ballistic missiles with a firing range of up to 12,000 kilometers, used from Vanguard-type submarines, are used as carriers. The military and political leadership believes that the naval component of the kingdom's nuclear forces is sufficient to achieve strategic goals. Indeed, in the event of war, nuclear weapons will be used jointly with NATO allies. In accordance with the nuclear doctrine, France will launch a so-called last warning or limited nuclear strike to signal the enemy about crossing the red line and the determination to launch further nuclear strikes. However, it is noted that the French nuclear doctrine is defensive in nature, and the use of nuclear weapons is possible only in extreme circumstances of legitimate self-defense, protecting France's vital interests. However, exactly what these vital interests are remains unclear. The peculiarity is that despite France's membership in NATO, its nuclear forces are not part of the military command structure of the alliance. France is armed with about 300 nuclear warheads. The basis of the French nuclear deterrence is the ballistic missiles of submarines of the M51 type of various modifications. The maximum range is about 9,000 kilometers. Their carriers are nuclear submarines of the Triumphant type. In addition to the sea, there is also an air component of nuclear deterrence. These are supersonic cruise missiles ASMPA. Currently, their range of application does not exceed 500 kilometers. The missile carriers are Rafale F-3 tactical fighters. China is one of two countries that, along with India, claims that it will not use nuclear weapons first at any time and under any circumstances. The PRC stands for a complete ban and destruction of nuclear weapons in the world. It is noted that the only reason why China needs nuclear weapons is to deter other states from using such weapons against it. However, Beijing does not disclose information about its nuclear arsenal, as stated, for greater deterrence effectiveness. It is estimated that the PRC has more than 600 nuclear warheads in its arsenal. The ground component of the nuclear triad includes DF-5 mine-launched intercontinental ballistic missiles of various modifications with a launch range of up to 13,000 kilometers, DF-31 mobile missile systems with a range of up to 11,000 kilometers, and the new DF-41 with a range of up to 15,000 kilometers. Medium-range ballistic missiles of the DF-21 and DF-26 types, with a range of 2,000 and 3,000 kilometers respectively. A new DF-27 missile with a limited intercontinental range from 4,000 to 8,000 kilometers is being developed. A hypersonic missile of the DF-17 type with a range of about 1,800 kilometers can also be equipped with a nuclear charge. The marine component uses JL-2 type submarine-launched ballistic missiles and the new JL-3 with a range of up to 8,000 kilometers. The missile carriers are Type 94 submarines, and a new Type 96 submarine is being built. The air component of China's strategic forces is armed with H-6 bombers capable of carrying air-launched crews and ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads. The United States is ready to use nuclear weapons in exceptional circumstances to protect the vital interests of the country, its allies, and partners. The United States is ready to put an end to any conflict on the most favorable terms for itself. Washington declares the possibility of responding with a nuclear strike to an attack with non-nuclear weapons. The Americans have a full-fledged nuclear triad, potentially ready to use about 5,000 nuclear charges. Of these, about 1,700 charges have been deployed. The basis of the nuclear triad is a marine component with Ohio-type submarines armed with Trident II missiles with a maximum launch range of up to 11,000 kilometers. There are nuclear modifications of Tomahawk cruise missiles with a launch range of up to 2,500 kilometers. The carriers of cruise missiles are Virginia-class submarines, missile cruisers, and destroyers. The air component is represented by B-52, B-2A, and B-1B bombers. The creation of a new B-21 Raider aircraft is being completed. However, so far the only carrier of ALCM nuclear cruise missiles with a range of up to 2,800 kilometers remains the B-52 bomber. Work is underway to create a new Lurso nuclear missile compatible with other strategic bombers. The ground component includes Minuteman III mine-launch ballistic missiles with a launch range of up to 13,000 kilometers. Only strategic weapons are presented. However, the United States also has a large number of tactical nuclear weapons. These are tactical missiles and aircraft bombs with nuclear charges. Thus, there are so many nuclear weapons in the world, with the use of which a reboot of human civilization is possible. The common features of nuclear doctrines are deterrence, not its application. At the same time, only two countries officially commit themselves not to use nuclear weapons first, India and China. And the United States and Great Britain reserve the right not only to use nuclear weapons first, but also to use nuclear weapons if necessary to protect the interests of themselves and their allies. With the growth of political instability in different regions of the world and a decrease in awareness of the consequences of nuclear war, there is a certain danger of an atomic catastrophe. The last thing left in her path will be common sense.